All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're grabbing our binoculars and opening a field guide, but not for birds or animals. We're looking at something much more volatile, crimes against the state. We're going to learn how to spot the difference between rebellion, a coup d'etat, and sedition. You hear these words thrown around all the time, but they are not the same thing. Knowing the difference is, well, it's absolutely critical. So let's jump in.
You see this stuff on the news all the time, right? A crowd pushes its way into a government building, some military figure suddenly appears on TV saying they're in charge, a demonstration that started peacefully just explodes into chaos. At first glance, it all just looks like, well, like an attack on the government. But in the eyes of the law, these are completely different animals in the jungle, each with its own unique DNA. So how in the world do you tell them apart? Well, that's our mission today.
Okay, so before we can start identifying these, let's call them creatures, out in the wild, we need to get our tools ready. Just like a scientist has a system for classifying life, the law has a framework for taking a crime apart, piece by piece. This toolkit is going to be like our set of legal goggles, letting us see through the noise and chaos to figure out what we're really looking at.
And here it is, simple but incredibly powerful. We're going to use this 4-point checklist for everything we look at. First, the act itself. That's the actus reus, if you want to get fancy. It just means what physically happened. What did people do? Second, the offender. Pretty straightforward. Who did it? Who was involved? Third, and this one's huge, is the intent, the mens rea. What was the goal? What were they trying to achieve? And finally, number 4, the harm. What was the damage? What was the outcome of their actions? This simple framework is going to be our compass.
So, let's start at the very top of the food chain. We're talking about the apex predators of political crimes: rebellion and the coup d'etat. These are the heavy hitters, the big ones. They're both aimed at completely upending the government. People mix them up constantly, but as you're about to see, they are fundamentally different beasts. First up, rebellion. The two words to burn into your brain here are public and armed. A rebellion isn't a secret plot. It's not a surgical strike. Think of it more like a massive, powerful, stampeding herd. It's a movement that's out in the open for everyone to see. Its strength doesn't come from secrets or a surprise. It comes from huge numbers of people openly and collectively saying no more to the state's authority.
And just look at the sheer ambition of a rebellion. I mean, this is not small stuff. The goals here are truly existential. Removing allegiance means they're literally trying to break the entire social contract. Seceding a territory, that's trying to literally break the country into pieces. And depriving leaders of their powers, well, that's hitting the giant reset button on the whole government. A rebellion attacks the very idea of the state itself.
Now, let's flip the script completely and look at the coup d'etat. If a rebellion is that slow, stampeding herd, a coup is a swift, silent jaguar strike. The whole game here is speed and precision. It's a sudden, shocking attack. And look at the methods: violence, intimidation, strategy, stealth. A coup doesn't need a huge crowd. It relies on tactical surprise to paralyze the government before anyone even knows what's happening. And the targets are so strategic. This isn't random violence. It's a checklist for how to disable a country. Think about it. A coup doesn't attack the whole body of the nation. It goes straight for the brain and the nervous system. You seize the leaders, you take over the TV stations and the internet, you control the military bases. The goal isn't just to create chaos, it's to surgically decapitate the government so you can take its place. Okay, let's put them head to head with our toolkit. First up, the act. What was done? The difference is just night and day, isn't it? A rebellion is a public spectacle. It's a groundswell, an earthquake that builds over time. A coup is a lightning strike from a clear sky. It's designed for maximum shock and awe, exploding into view when it's already in motion. Next on our checklist, the offender. Now, who's actually doing this? This might be the single biggest giveaway. A rebellion is a crime of the people. Anyone can join. Anyone can lead. It comes from the outside. But a coup is almost always an inside job. The key players are the state's own people, generals, officials, police, using the power they already have to grab even more. It's a betrayal from within. And finally, the intent. What's the end game here? A rebellion wants a divorce. It wants to completely tear down the old system and start over, or maybe carve off a piece of the country and form a new one. A coup is totally different. It doesn't want a divorce. It wants a hostile takeover. The plotters like the government machinery. They just want to be the ones driving it. They're not trying to destroy the company. They're trying to fire the CEO and take over the boardroom. So how does the law punish these two apex predators? Well, it throws the book at the leaders of both. We're talking up to 40 years.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Look closely at the penalties for a coup. You see that special category for a government employee? The law singles them out. It's basically saying that for an insider, this isn't just a crime, it's a profound betrayal of their oath. And that betrayal comes with its own special price tag.
All right, we've met the big predators. Now let's turn to a totally different kind of creature, sedition. If rebellion and coups are trying to take over the entire ecosystem, sedition is more like a chaotic, angry swarm of hornets. It's not trying to kill the government, but it is trying to attack it, to disrupt it, and to cause enough painful chaos to get what it wants. It really is the agent of disorder.
The definition here tells the whole story. Like a rebellion, it's public and chaotic. But here's the magic phrase you absolutely have to remember: short of overthrowing the government. That's everything. Sedition isn't about ending the state. It's about using mob force to bully the state into doing or not doing something specific. It wants to bend the rules, not break the whole system.
And you can see how specific the goals are. A seditious mob might try to physically stop an election from happening or attack a government office to stop it from working. It's targeted mayhem. These are all serious attacks on public order, for sure, but none of them have that grand, sweeping goal of unmaking the entire nation. And that, right there, is the heart of sedition.
And as you'd expect, the punishment reflects that difference in scale. The penalties are still really serious, don't get me wrong, but they're not in the same ballpark as rebellion or a coup. The law is basically acknowledging that while starting a riot is incredibly dangerous, it's just not the same as trying to start a civil war. And again, notice the law distinguishes between the ringleader who organizes the chaos and the person who just gets swept up in the crowd.
So far, we've been talking about the finished product, the full-blown rebellion, the lightning coup, the chaotic riot. But the law is smart. It doesn't just wait around for the forest fire to start. It also punishes the person who strikes the match. So this next part is all about those preliminary crimes, the ones that happen before anyone even throws a punch. Let's start at the very beginning, with conspiracy and proposal. Think of it like this. A conspiracy is when you and your friend decide, okay, let's do it. Let's start a rebellion. The second you both agree, that agreement itself is the crime, even if you do nothing else. A proposal is even earlier. That's just a one-way street. It's you going to your friend and saying, hey, we should start a rebellion. You in? In this context, just asking the question can be a crime. Now, this is fascinating. Look how the law punishes just the planning stage. Plotting a coup gets you a much harsher sentence than plotting a rebellion. So what does that tell you? It shows what the state is most afraid of. That swift, internal jaguar strike is seen as a far more immediate and deadly threat than the slow-building rebellion. The law punishes even the idea of it more severely. And then there's incitement. This is the crime of fanning the flames from a safe distance. The person who incites isn't on the front lines. They're not holding a weapon. They're the one writing the fiery blog post, giving the speech that whips the crowd into a frenzy, creating the memes and slogans that push others to act. The law says that the person who lights the fuse is just as responsible as the person who carries the bomb. Okay, time for a really unique crime. This one isn't about what you do, it's about what you fail to do. This isn't about attacking the state, it's about the failure of the very people sworn to protect it. This is disloyalty, a crime that only a public official can commit. It's about the guardian who fails at their one job, to guard. So let's frame this with a direct question. Imagine a rebellion breaks out. The state is under attack. If you're a mayor, a police chief, even a government clerk, what is your fundamental duty? Can you just keep your head down and wait to see who wins? The answer is a hard no. The law demands action. And the law is crystal clear on what that duty is. First, you must resist the rebellion with everything you've got. Passivity is a crime. Second, you can't just keep doing your job if rebels take over your town. Why? Because that makes them look legitimate, like they're the real government. And the last one is a total no-brainer. You cannot accept a new job from the rebel leaders. That is literally switching sides.
Okay, we've journeyed deep into our field guide. We've examined each creature up close. For this last part, let's pull the lens all the way back and see the big picture, how all these different laws work together to form a single protective ecosystem for the state.
So here it is, the final cheat sheet. Let's lock it in. Rebellion is the stampeding herd, a massive public uprising trying to overthrow the whole system or break away. The coup d'etat is the jaguar strike, a swift, stealthy attack by insiders trying to seize control. And sedition is the swarm of hornets, a chaotic mob trying to disrupt and intimidate but not take over. By looking at the act, the offender, and the intent, you can now tell them apart every time.
And I want to leave you with one final thought, because this is where all of this theory crashes into our reality. The laws on incitement, on fanning the flames, were written for a world of pamphlets and town square speeches. But today, a single post, a meme, a video can pour gasoline on a fire and reach millions in seconds. So where is the line now? At what point does an angry, viral post stop being protected free speech and start becoming the actual crime of inciting sedition? That's the challenge these old laws face in our very new world.